Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Like Attracts Like podcast. If you are joining us today for the first time, thank you so much. If you're a repeat listener, thank you so much for coming back. Today we're going to dive into maybe one of the most important questions that could have been asked to the show and to myself. It's something that might clear up a lot of things regarding your relationship with yourself and how you view your relationship with others, what those dynamics can tell you. And the question is, how can like attract like when we know that opposites attract? We are going to sort this out right here on today's show, so stick around. We're coming right back.
Take a look at life from a different perspective. What if life is happening for you and not to you? This is the Like Attracts Like podcast with your host, Pat Mahan.
Okay, so that is the question. How is it possible that what I understand of opposites attracting for my whole life that I've been taught, how does that line up at all with what you're saying, the literal name of your show, Like Attracts Like? There is a resolution to this. It can be very life-changing, if nothing else, perspective-altering, and there are just a few things that you would have to know or consider and put into different frames of reference in order to make these two different paradigms exist together, because it's a trick. A lot of times when people are thinking of opposites attract, they are thinking of polarity of magnets. And then what they do is they kind of use some kind of a connection system in their brain or a confirmation bias when they apply that saying to relationships, because what they are seeing is the surface level of what the relationship is providing. Now, when I say relationship, take it into whatever example or context you would like to. The relationship can be with virtually anything or anyone. So know that it could be a romantic relationship, a friendship, someone in your family, an acquaintance, someone that you ran into on the street, anything at all. This still applies. And that's why I believe it's life-altering, because when you honestly apply what this tells you, then it not only will allow you to kind of see, free up, and clear a lot of negative energy and space inside of yourself, but the mirror of that energy that gets recreated in the universe, if you will, or your reality as you experience it, will dissipate. It will start to go away because there will be less of an energetic effect responding to it. And that is what I will go into, the difference between the two concepts. So yes, in science, they are going to argue and be correct in the statement of opposites attract, the polarities attract. But in relationships, put that frame of reference to the side for a moment and look at how relationships work, how humans work, how consciousness works, how vibration works, and how awareness of all of it works. We are one of the only beings we know of in existence that have the ability to feel one way and express the feeling another way, to mask or shield ourselves from what we believe reality has in store for us or what we are capable of providing towards reality. So we can feel one way about ourselves, and then in an attempt to, let's say, fake it till we make it, or act the part, or to divert attention away from us or from any insignificant things we feel about ourselves or insecurities, we have the ability to feel in a lower vibrational state, but yet produce for the world a character that is the opposite of what we are feeling. So, for example, someone who is maybe insecure, has some form of lack inside of themselves, some form of self-doubt, some form of lower vibrational belief system about themselves. It is very possible for that person who is resisting the part of themselves that they don't like or feel inadequate about, in resistance to that, they will respond with the opposite of what they feel. They will respond maybe in a super overconfident way. Maybe they overcompensate for the lack that they have, and their ego kicks in, and in their heads, they have to believe they are this character that they're putting out there that's doing all these great things and positive and amazing and Mr. or Mrs. Right, perfect person. But what is motivating that and driving that is a place of lack. And the pit, there's a pit inside that can do that if you believe that you are anything that aligns with that pit. But you can put it out into the world and become this person. What will happen happen is you can attract on the other end what looks like someone who is super shy and withdrawn, the wallflower, the person who doesn't talk very much, bashful even. Those two would come together in this example, and people would look at that and say, look at that couple. See, opposites attract. I don't know how that works with those two, with one being so energetic and outgoing and the other one so reserved. I'm not sure how it works, but they must balance themselves out. That's something that is said quite often when someone is trying to rationalize how in relationships opposites attract. Now, at the core of that example, on the surface, it seems and appears that opposites are attracting. But at the vibrational level of what makes us us and what mirrors our world and what gets attracted back to us, both of them have a place or position of lack. They both are coming from, in a relationship standpoint, a very lower vibrational frequency. It doesn't matter what they put out into the world. It doesn't matter what the character is showing you in whatever relationship you're in. And a lot of people can feel through that. They can feel if someone is doing that, but in some cases they can't, especially if they're a match. And then you're in denial of the fact that you're in a match. So if you are also doing the same thing as this other person, and you're both in a lower vibrational existence, belief system existence, then that's how you walk around. These are the people that you attract to you. And what will happen is you will typically find in your external mirror world of relationships a person who contains the components of the parts of you that you're denying. So again, reality being a mirror of what you believe and feel inside, not what you say or do so much. What you believe or feel inside is what will be attracted to you. And typically, this manifests itself in you visibly seeing the parts of you that you're denying, the parts of you that you wish you loved, the parts of you that you wish you could be and had, but you resent yourself for it and you judge yourself for it. You see that expressed in someone else as their mechanism for overcompensating what they are lacking for, and you fall in love with it. And that is why you call someone your other half in this scenario. They kind of are, but not really. You can't have another half because you are completely whole all of the time. But if you are denying part of yourself, you will see it and love it in someone else. And you guys will come together and it will look as though opposites attracted each other. But in fact, it was two lower vibrational frequencies of lack or resistance to oneself that brought you together. And then in life, in situations, it manifests itself in infinite ways. It's irrelevant to talk about the topics of how this manifests itself. It's irrelevant to talk about them because the vibration of where you are will continue to manifest infinite situations to represent how you're feeling. Don't spend time worrying about who's doing what to who and when and how bad and how far. It really is completely irrelevant except for using it to identify what place you're coming from and why. So you can use the situations as a tool to look through them and see what kind of things am I lacking that would create this in my life. You guys could maybe work together to do that, but at the core of it, your similar vibrations are attracting each other and it's manifesting itself in a way that looks to be the part of you that you think you're missing. So you go after it and then you feel amazing and you feel complete. You feel, when you are in love, you feel amazing. But that's because you are seeing half of yourself in someone else and denying it in yourself. So it is very volatile, and how you feel is directly dependent upon how that other person acts, responds, or treats you. And that is not okay. We justify it a lot by saying, well, there's a certain level of respect and there's a certain level that someone should or should not do these things. And we can all agree upon those things. But people are people and people do what people do. So to give your power away to someone else because they should or should not have been or done something is not the way to attract the correct person in your life. And it is not the type of relationship that you want to maintain, if you will, is the best word I can use. So I know that it is difficult to maybe sometimes look at relationships this way because people actually enjoy that. If you're denying it in yourself and finding it in someone else, it's easy to put the burden to bear on someone else and say that you will be this and I will be that and no matter what. And it's amazing to have that mindset, but there's a different way. There's a better way to do this, and that's just something that I'm asking you to consider. There's a better way of doing this when you believe that what you believe and vibrate at in this universe, you attract back to you. What you attract back to you is a direct reflection of how you feel inside. not what you put out to the world as your character. That part is important as far as searching and finding answers, but it's irrelevant as far as where you need to look at the end of this. Only you know the answers to how and why you feel the way that you feel. The character that we play can trick everyone because depending on what the character thinks it needs, it will do. And that, again, is very volatile. It's no way to live, and it's no way to interact with someone else that's doing the same thing. So what should then the goal be? If you are going through your life and relying on someone else, or if you don't have someone else in the moment, you are trying to attract a relationship that does something for you, someone that makes you feel a certain way. If that is the goal, then you will continue your cycle of finding the same or similar people that will initially fill the void and the gap that you have. It will feel like you're in love because that's what it feels like when you fully accept and embrace and love yourself. That's what it feels like. It feels like that initial feeling when you first meet someone and it's ridiculous and amazing, and then it fades away because you guys start to repel because the true aspects of your characters are revealed. There's a different way to do this that you so fully align with yourself. You so take responsibility for your world, your reality, and how you perceive and believe things, and you won't let anyone take that away from you because it's real for you. So there's nothing that anyone could do or say to you. There's nothing, no one does anything to us. We have to allow them to do it to us, no matter what it is. That's not to say people can't direct things at you, but you decide whether you accept or reject what they do, and then how you perceive it and how you move on from it. We take responsibility for that. So when you can do that, it takes the burden, it takes the pressure, it takes the expectation off of whoever this other person you are looking to attract into your life may be. It takes that pressure away from them. You must be vibrating at a high frequency to feel that way and truly believe that this is the way to do it. What will then happen is you will attract someone equal to that level who will also not need you in their life, but will choose you in their life because there is a higher purpose. There are souls talking. It doesn't matter if it's a friendship or relationship. There are other things happening here beyond our five senses as far as what we can pick up and perceive, but they only exist and manifest at the level that you feel inside. I believe what the definition of alignment is, what it means for myself, and how I have gone through this process of perceiving the word alignment. It has meant so many different things to me in so many different points in my journey, my process through this, that I've come to understand it as now, at least to this point, alignment is the connection between the source of all of this, the highest form of frequency, energy, vibration, God, unconditional love, that frequency being able to connect with us here, our souls experiencing this life that we live, filtered through the ego, which is our unique expression of that source, how much that unique expression of us feels comfortable knowing that it is connected to everything and not separate from it. That is my interpretation for me personally, and what it does, it allows me to look at situations, events, relationships, and unfoldings in my life from a vibrational standpoint and an alignment standpoint instead of a topical standpoint, which is an infinite number of situations that can manifest, but they all, for me, seem to manifest from the core at whatever I was feeling and believing at the time. And being able to perceive that relationship between all of these things that I believe are at play, to be able to separate myself from them, to look at them objectively, to then ultimately realize that you are all of it. It will really help you, I believe, maybe it'll help you kind of get to know yourself again from a non-judgmental standpoint and really develop a belief system, a newer belief system if you have a negative old one, of wow, this really is all happening exactly the way that it was supposed to, and it was always happening so that I could get this message, showing me that I was separate from, so that it could show me that I'm all of it. And then you hold that belief and vibe inside of you as often as you can. It's a process and it is life, and we try to align as much as we can and make sense of things that happen to us and relationships that go well and relationships that fall apart and what is happening. And it's all happening to us, but then we realize and shift and know that it's not happening to us. We are essentially creating what life is providing us by the beliefs that we have. And the start of changing that vibe, it doesn't start with changing your outside world. The start with changing that vibration and that opinion of yourself is teaming up and realizing that not only are you all the same, and we are all the same, but we all are looking for the same connection to ourselves. And we're just viewing it externally in the world as we roam around and interact with other versions of ourself. So it makes it easier to see someone who is in a different spot, whether you perceive it to be higher or you perceive it to be lower than where you are or where you were. We're essentially in an infinite universe just meeting different versions of us at that emotional or vibrational frequency, acting out that level of what exists on that plane. We are meeting ourselves in every interaction we have with another person. These old sayings don't get to be old sayings for no reason. The golden rule, do unto others as you would have done to yourself. That's because that is yourself. The I is the same. We just experience it objectively through our unique gifts or personality or inspired actions. So I hope I was able to shed some light on how I view the statement or the question, how can like attract like when opposites attract, and why it can be confusing, but how to really separate that and see what's at the core of what is the perceived opposites at play. And hopefully, as always, try and dive a little bit deeper into ourselves to find the answers that will make an impact out there. And that is what I wish for each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much once again for listening. I've actually been asked this question quite often, and I've had components of it, but I just recently kind of put it all together to my satisfaction, and I figured I would share it with you because it really helped me quite a bit make some sense of some of the BS I was feeding myself, and I was able to view the things that were going on and make changes. When I made those changes, the reason why I feel so strongly about this is because I watched it work for me in my life. I watched it work and unfold, and I felt better. And that's what this show is about. That's what I want to do. Just talk about things that made me feel better. And in some way, maybe some of those things will help you to feel better. Until next time, have an amazing day, a wonderful night, and we'll see you then.